Welcome back, folks. Today we're talking about Claude's new finance agents. If you want to get ahead in investing, you have to master these agents. But most retail investors are about to use these agents wrong. And while everybody else is going to use these agents on default settings and get 10-page slops, you can get ahead. So today we're going to go from beginner to pro in under 20 minutes. We'll start off by installing these, and then I have created a prompt for you that is a master orchestrator of all of these agents, which will help us answer a very important investment question on where to put our money in the semiconductor industry. We're going to be comparing companies like AMD, Nvidia, and all of their competitors, and the results are amazing. So let's first install these plugins. The instructions that are on Anthropic's GitHub are actually slightly misleading. If you try to do this, you actually won't find a one-for-one match with these settings. And if you try this URL, that's not really going to work. What you need to do is actually follow these steps that I've listed here, and a link to this is in the description below. We're going to go into Cowork. Then we're going to go into Customize, Plugins, press plus, Create Plugin, Marketplace, and then paste this. So let's go do that. So I'm going to go to Customize, Plugins, Create Plugin, Add Marketplace. Now I'm going to add what Anthropic asks us to do, and this is not going to work. So we're going to go back, and we're going to take the one in my documentation. And now we're going to change it. Now when I press sync, this should work. There you go. So this is what the screen is going to look like. Now what we want to do is install the earnings reviewer. We want to install equity research. You want to install market researcher, and you want to install meeting prep agent. Feel free to install whichever ones that you want to explore later. But this is how you actually install these finance plugins. It's fairly straightforward, but the documentation on Anthropic's GitHub is slightly misleading. So I hope this helps. Now let's get started. So now that we've installed the earnings reviewer, the equity research, and the market researcher, let's quickly test these out just to see that they are triggering correctly. So I've currently typed /comp, and I see comps analysis, competitive analysis. This is coming from the market researcher plugin, and this is coming from the earnings reviewer plugin, and this is coming from the equity research plugin. So all of the agents that we wanted to install are correctly triggering here. Now let's go to our final section where we take the pre-created prompt that you can copy paste using the link in the description below. That's 3 pages long. That is going to orchestrate all of these different agents to call each other and build up a complete report for us where we answer a hypothetical question. And the question today is, if I have $20,000 to invest, should I put it into Nvidia or AMD? You can tweak this for any investment decision that you're trying to make. Let's go. Just copy that and paste it here, and we're just going to hit return. This is going to quiz us on some of the information on what exactly we are looking for, and then it's going to go execute all of these agents. My recommendation is to start with Opus 4.6 because Opus 4.7 is a behemoth at consuming tokens. So use it on Opus 4.6, try out a response, and then go ahead and try it on Opus 4.7. In the middle, you can go into your settings, usage, and see how many tokens have been consumed and what you have left. Now, this specific report builder has 2 modes. One is you give it a single ticker, let's say AMD or Nvidia that you're interested in, and it'll do the full analysis for that. Or you can give it your portfolio, so it has added context about what the portfolio weights already are. If you already invested into Nvidia or AMD, something like that. I'm personally not wanting to put my portfolio into Claude yet. That trust day hasn't come, so I'm just going to go with mode A. And I'm going to say 3 to 5 year long term. I'm going to say moderate to aggressive, and it's going to come back to me with another quiz for how much money we want to put in and which stock we're talking about. Okay, so here you go. So I'm going to say 20K AMD. And then it's asking which are the 3 peers for comparison. I'll just say you pick the closest 3. And do you currently hold any shares for this stock? I'm just going to say no. And boom, this is the result it came back with. I'm going to explain to you what the prompt actually has based on the results. So it's starting off with a couple of warnings saying AMD and Intel have massively already outrun street consensus, meaning whatever target has been set, it's gone beyond that. I want to come back to this in a couple of minutes because there's something else we need to discuss here. Now it's starting us off with a complete financial report on what the final summary of all of these stocks is. It's chosen AMD, and the three closest ones it's chosen are Nvidia, Intel, and AVGO, which I believe is Broadcom. Yeah, it's Broadcom. So it's giving us the market cap, the revenue growth, the margins, the trailing and forward-looking PEs, free cash flow, 3-year CAGR, and then the 52-week high. And it's giving us a pretty cool view of what their revenue mix is like. Where's their money coming from? Then an assessment on the moat for each of them, and it rates Intel as weak to moderate, and everything else is strong. AMD recently got it upgraded from moderate to strong. Very cool. Then it is talking about capital allocation. So where are these companies actually investing their money into? So AMD is putting in $6 billion or so, which is about a quarter of their revenue into R&D. And Nvidia is putting in $18.5 billion into R&D. AMD is putting about $1 billion into CapEx. And then Nvidia is doing a $40 billion stock buyback, so which is pretty cool. I'm not going through every single detail here. That is something you can run by yourself, but the goal is just to express the structure of this report. Then I've asked it to give me a thesis breaker, meaning try to play devil's advocate and tell me why this investment may not make sense. What could go wrong for my investment to potentially be screwed? And then it gives us a rough bull, bear, and base case scenarios for each. If I'm being critical of my own report, I think the UI kit for this could be a little bit better. Maybe we can improve that in a future version. Then we have what is called a catalyst window, which basically just gives you a rough estimate of what the next 90 days might look like, what type of events might really boost the price or dim the price. Are there certain important events that are coming up that might act as catalysts, either in a positive or in a negative direction? Then there's a piece around customer concentration. And this is especially important in current day because we need to know what the overall dependency risks for these companies are. So for Nvidia, it says that the risk is high because there's like one customer who's using 22% and two customers are responsible for 36% of their revenue. The source for this is stated as the 10K from fiscal year 2026, which is good that it's sharing that, and then something from the Motley Fool, which is a blog as well, or investment website. So this is something where you would have to use your own judgment to decide whether this is an issue or not, because I'm pretty sure that if some customer says we don't want to use Nvidia because we have some alternative options, maybe AMD or Google, we'd have to first understand why they're making that decision. Do they think that the competitor is as good, which I don't think they are. But I think even if that happens, a lot of people are going to line up to use Nvidia chips. So just this number changing doesn't mean that Nvidia is screwed in any way. We'd have to understand if it's changing, why it's changing. And the best reason for it to change would be somebody else came up with something that is amazing, which I don't think is happening because Nvidia is just killing it just from a core innovation perspective. Then we have an analyst consensus check. What are most of the analysts saying, and what is the mean of the price target? And I want to come back to this in a second as well. Then we have what individual analysts are saying for each of these stocks and what the different analysts are saying. So this is what the numbers look like, and this is one of the things that I wanted to resolve right now. If you look at this, the numbers for AMD are 450, 500, 525, 340, and 500, but it still says that the mean purchase price target is 383. Well, if I were to look at these numbers, I don't think the average will fall to 383. So this is one of the places where AI is being AI. And we have to remember that this is not particularly Anthropic or anybody's fault. We are tweaking what is a plugin agent skill for finance professionals to be used inside corporations for our own use to at least accelerate our learnings in some way. Now, the gap with that is there's two issues. Number one, we don't have an MCP attached to this. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. This is how different AI systems talk to each other in simple terms. The second is, if you're working inside a financial institution, you have access to the latest data in terms of structured data. We don't have access to that because we're retail investors. We might have to pay for that. But what I'm trying to create here is something that works out of the box for free for everyone. So in the absence of real-time data and an MCP, some of these anomalies might exist. mostly out of my control. I can't do a whole lot about it rather than forcing the prompt to do something specific, in which case I potentially create a bias that is reflective of the way I specifically think, which I shouldn't be doing. So the last pieces are position sizing recommendations. So what it's saying is AMD is within 2.5% of its 52-week high, and the street consensus is below its current price. So a dollar cost averaging is recommended over lump sum. Okay, I like this. This is actually a helpful insight. Whether that proves to be true or not in the future, nobody knows. AI doesn't know, I don't know, you don't know. AMD CEO, I don't know what they know, but it's still pretty helpful information. So it's basically telling us do 3 tranches, 8K, 8K, and 9K, and it's telling us when to potentially do these. Now, I want to share something very clear here. The way to consume all of this information is not, this is the holy grail, this is what you're supposed to do. This is giving you an option that if you're thinking of putting in 25K today, maybe it opens your mind to the thought of, okay, I could put in 8K right now. And then apparently Nvidia is announcing earnings May 20th or 23rd. Let's see what happens at that point. And then after AMD announces its earnings, then let's see, that might be another opportunity to put in some money. And finally, it is giving us a final verdict, and it says AMD is best in class, Nvidia is a good alternative, Intel is a skip, and Broadcom is a good alternative. So I have instructed it to give the primary drivers for each. Now, this is where I want to make another thing very, very clear. I have seen AI not have consistency in this outcome. When I run this with Opus 4.6, comes out with something else. Opus 4.7 comes out with something else. Sonnet comes out with something else. So this is a place where I would not use whatever is being said here as like the gold standard, the final verdict, that it is written in stone, that if this means that AMD is best in class, means your investment is going to truly succeed. That final decision, we still have to own that decision. Continue to use this as a way to consume a lot of information, boil down to its absolute necessities as quickly as possible. And finally, it ends with a retail investment proposal. Like if you are planning to invest, why it might make sense to do it now, what you would actually be investing into, what the bull, base, and bear cases are, and then how you can size your position, what's the decision-making criteria here, and then dollar cost average, what kind of entry plan you could have, and what might be your exit criteria. Same goes for what the risks are and what you should not do. And it's basically saying, do not buy the full 25K before Nvidia earnings on May 20th. So I quickly checked Google, and it does say that May 20th, 2026, there is an earnings call. So at least it got that right. And the last part, and this is something that I personally believe very strongly in, I've instructed this prompt or this AI to be very, very forthcoming about things that it is not sure about and specifically call those out. I really want these reports to be useful to you, and it shouldn't bullshit you. It shouldn't mistakenly make you think something that is not true. So that is how you can use these agents all the way from a skill level to the complete agent to creating your own orchestration layer from a prompt that call multiple agents using multiple skills. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What worked for you? Was there something that was confusing? If you have any questions on how else you would like to use these in the future, and I'll consider making a video about these.